My name is Father David Lancaster. I'm 34 years old, and I'm dying. Well, not literally, but sometimes it feels that way. Let me back up. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, the only son of Richard Lancaster, who made his fortune in commercial real estate development. By the time I was born, the Lancaster name meant something: country clubs, charity galas, summer homes in the Hamptons. My trust fund matured when I turned 25, $70 million. Most people would have bought yachts, invested in startups, lived the life of luxury my father had built. I gave it all to my sister and entered seminary. My family thought I'd lost my mind. My father died still disappointed in me. But I'd spent my early 20s in that world of wealth, and I'd learned something important. Money doesn't fill the emptiness, it just buys better distractions from it. For 9 years I've served at Sacred Heart Parish in Boston. A good parish, good people. I've performed weddings, baptisms, funerals. I've counseled the grieving, the lost, the seeking, and I've been content. Until the day Rachel Morgan walked into my church and asked me to help her die. It was a Wednesday afternoon in early October. I was in the sacristy putting away vestments when I heard footsteps echoing in the empty church. I came out to find a woman standing in front of the altar, staring up at the crucifix. She was maybe 32, with auburn hair pulled into a loose braid, wearing jeans and an oversized cardigan despite the warm day. Even from behind, I could see tension in her shoulders, in the way she hugged herself. "Can I help you?" I asked gently. She turned and I saw her face. Beautiful, even with the exhaustion etched around her eyes, the pallor in her cheeks. But it was her eyes that stopped me, dark brown, filled with a grief so profound it was almost physical. "Are you Father Lancaster?" "I am." "Please call me Father David." I gestured to the pews. "Would you like to sit?" We sat together in the front row. Up close, I noticed how thin she was, how her cardigan hung loose despite being wrapped tight around her, how her hands trembled slightly. "I'm Rachel," she said. "Rachel Morgan. I'm not really a believer. I haven't been to church since I was a kid. But my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, she goes here. She said you were kind, that you listen. I try to be. And I'm always willing to listen." She took a shaky breath. "I'm dying, Father. Breast cancer, stage 4. It's metastasized to my lungs, my liver, my bones. The doctors gave me 6 months, maybe." The words hit me like a physical blow. She was so young. "I'm so sorry," I said. I meant it with everything in me. "I've tried everything. Chemo, radiation, clinical trials. Nothing's working. The cancer's too aggressive, too widespread." She laughed bitterly. "I'm 32 years old and I'm planning my own funeral." "Is that why you're here, to plan funeral arrangements?" "No, I'm here because I don't know how to be okay with this. Everyone keeps telling me to have faith, to pray, to believe in miracles. But I don't believe in any of it. And I'm so scared, Father. I'm so scared of dying alone and afraid." Her voice broke on the last word and tears started streaming down her face. Without thinking, I took her hand. "You don't have to believe in miracles to receive comfort," I said quietly. "You don't have to have faith to deserve companionship in your darkest hour. If you need someone to walk this road with you, I'm here. No prayers required unless you want them." She looked at our joined hands, then at my face. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." "Because that's what I'm called to do. Not just for believers, but for anyone who's suffering and needs someone to care." She cried then, really cried, and I just held her hand and let her. When she finally composed herself, she wiped her eyes with her free hand. "I have no family," she said. "My parents died in a car accident when I was 20, no siblings. My ex-boyfriend left when I got diagnosed, said he couldn't handle it. I have some friends, but they're all so uncomfortable around me now. Like death is contagious. How are you managing? Financially, I mean." "Treatment is expensive." She laughed again, that same bitter sound. "I'm not. I have some savings, but they're almost gone. I lost my job. I was a graphic designer, but I can't work anymore. Too tired, too sick. I qualified for some assistance programs, but they only cover basics, the experimental treatments that might actually help. Those cost hundreds of thousands. Might as well be millions. An idea was forming in my mind. A crazy, possibly inappropriate idea. What if money wasn't an issue? I heard myself ask. What do you mean? What if you could afford any treatment, anywhere? The best doctors, the most cutting-edge therapies? Father, I appreciate the thought, but I can't afford. I can. She stared at me. What? Before I became a priest, I had resources. I gave most of it away, but I kept some in a trust. For emergencies. For moments when I could actually make a difference. I leaned forward. Rachel, let me pay for your treatment. No, absolutely not. I can't let you. Why not? It's just sitting in an account, doing nothing. But it could save your life. Father, you don't know that. The treatments might not work. You could spend hundreds of thousands and I could still die in 6 months. True. But what if they do work? What if you don't die? She was quiet for a long moment, tears still streaming down her face. Why would you do this for a stranger? She whispered, because I spent 9 years trying to figure out how to use the privilege I was born into for good. And maybe this is why I kept that money. For you, for this moment, I don't know what to say. Say yes. Let me help you fight. She looked at me with those grief-stricken eyes, and I saw hope flicker there for the first time. Yes, she breathed. Okay, yes. I had no idea that saying yes to saving her life would mean losing my own. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I made phone calls, pulled strings, used connections I hadn't touched in years. Within a week, Rachel had an appointment at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute with one of the top oncologists in the country. Dr. Susan Chen, no relation to Mrs. Chen from the parish, was a brilliant, no-nonsense woman who listened to Rachel's case history and immediately ordered new scans. The standard treatments aren't working, she said bluntly. But there's a new immunotherapy trial. It's shown promise in cases like yours. The problem is it's not covered by insurance, and the out-of-pocket cost is substantial. How substantial? I asked. Initial treatment, $250,000. If it works and we continue, could be another $500,000 over the next year. Rachel went pale. I can't. We can, I said firmly. Whatever she needs. Dr. Chen looked between us, then nodded. All right. We start next week. That night, I transferred $300,000 from my trust account to the hospital. It barely made a dent in what was left, but I still felt the weight of it. Not regret, never regret. But awareness that I was crossing a line I couldn't uncross. I was supposed to be a shepherd to all my flock equally. But I was giving Rachel something I couldn't give everyone, the full force of my family's wealth. Was it fair? No. Was it right? I didn't know. But watching her face light up with hope when Dr. Chan explained the treatment protocol, I knew I'd do it again. The treatment was brutal. Rachel moved into a small apartment closer to the hospital. I paid the rent. Insisted she save her savings for other needs. Every other week, she'd go in for infusions that made her violently ill, exhausted, barely able to function. I visited her between sessions. Brought her food she could actually keep down. Ginger tea, plain crackers, homemade broth. Sat with her while she slept. Read to her when she was awake, but too weak to hold a book. You don't have to do this, she said one afternoon after a particularly rough session. You've already done so much. You don't have to be here too. Where else would I be? I don't know. Doing priest things? Ministering to your parish. This is ministering. You're part of my parish now. She smiled weakly. I haven't been to a single service. Doesn't matter. You're here, I'm here. That's church enough. Over the weeks I learned her story. She'd studied art in college, dreamed of being a painter, but ended up in graphic design to pay bills. She loved old movies, jazz music, Thai food. She'd been engaged once before the cancer, before her ex showed his true colors. I thought he loved me, she said one evening. Thought we'd grow old together. Then I got sick and he was gone within a month. Said he couldn't watch me die. He was a coward. Maybe. Or maybe he was just honest. Most people can't handle this. She looked at me. Why can you? I don't know. Maybe because I've sat with a lot of death. It doesn't scare me the way it scares other people. You're not afraid of me dying? I'm terrified of you dying. But I'm more afraid of you dying alone. Something shifted in her eyes. A warmth that hadn't been there before. You're not what I expected a priest to be, she said softly. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone judgmental. Someone who'd tell me this was God's plan or that I needed to pray harder. Someone distant. And instead you got me. Yeah, I got you. The way she said it made my heart do something it absolutely shouldn't. 3 months into treatment, Dr. Chan called us both in. The scans are remarkable, she said, pulling up images on her computer. The tumors in your lungs have shrunk by 40%. The liver metastases are barely visible. We're seeing significant response. Rachel grabbed my hand. What does that mean? It means it's working. The immunotherapy is working. If this continues, we're looking at remission, not death. Rachel started crying. I just sat there, stunned, her hand gripped tight in mine. After the appointment, we sat in my car in the parking garage. Rachel was still crying, but now they were tears of relief, of hope, of something like joy. You saved my life, she said. David, you literally saved my life. It was the first time she'd called me by my name without the title. It should have bothered me. It didn't. We're not done yet, but this is good. This is really good. She turned to me, eyes shining. I don't know how to thank you. I don't know how to even begin to. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. You gave me my life back. You gave me a future I thought I'd lost. She paused. David, I need to tell you something. My heart started racing. What? I think I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air between us, electric and terrifying. Rachel, I know you're a priest. I know this is impossible. I know I shouldn't feel this way. But spending all this time with you, having you care for me, watching you fight for me, how could I not? I should have shut it down immediately. Should have reminded her of my vows, my calling, the impossibility of what she was suggesting. Instead, I said, I'm falling for you too. Her breath caught. What? I think about you constantly. Wonder how you're feeling, if you're eating enough, if you're scared. I look forward to our visits more than anything else in my week. Rachel, somewhere between paying for your treatment and holding your hand through the hard days, I fell completely in love with you. But you're a priest. I know. So what do we do? I looked at this woman, this beautiful, brave, dying, but not dead yet woman, and I made another decision that would change everything. We wait. You focus on getting better. I focus on figuring out what the hell I'm going to do. And when you're in remission, when you're strong again, we talk about this for real. And if I don't make it to remission, I cupped her face with my hand. You will. You're fighting too hard not to. She leaned into my touch, closing her eyes. Okay, we wait. But waiting turned out to be harder than either of us imagined. 6 months after starting treatment, Dr. Chen said the word we'd been afraid to hope for. Remission. Rachel's scans were clear. The tumors were gone. The cancer markers in her blood were normal. She'd need ongoing monitoring, maintenance therapy, regular checkups. But for now, officially, she was cancer-free. We celebrated at a quiet restaurant, just the two of us. Rachel looked different than the hollow-eyed woman I'd met 9 months ago. Her hair had grown back in soft waves. Color had returned to her cheeks. She'd gained weight, looked healthy, looked alive. I can't believe it, she kept saying. I really can't believe I'm here. That I survived. You did more than survive. You fought like hell. We fought like hell, she corrected. David, I couldn't have done this without you. The treatment, yes, but also, you gave me a reason to fight. Something to live for beyond just not dying. I reached across the table and took her hand. We'd gotten comfortable with small touches, hand-holding, shoulder squeezes, brief hugs. Always appropriate, always explainable, but charged with everything we weren't saying. So now what? She asked. Now we have the conversation we've been avoiding. She took a deep breath. Okay, let's have it. We left the restaurant and drove to a quiet park overlooking the harbor. Sat on a bench as the sun set, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. I love you, I said. I'm completely, hopelessly in love with you. You re the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing before I sleep. When you were sick, I prayed more fervently than I ever have, not to God, really, but to the universe, to chance, to whatever might be listening that you'd survive. Because a world without you in it felt unbearable. Rachel was crying silently. But I'm also a priest, I continued. I took vows. Promises to God and the church that I wouldn't pursue romantic love, wouldn't have a family of my own. For 9 years, those vows have given my life structure and meaning. So you're choosing them, she said quietly. Over me? No, I'm choosing you. I've already made that choice, Rachel. The question is whether you want someone who's choosing you. She turned to look at me, hope and fear warring in her eyes. You'd leave the priesthood? For me? I'd leave everything for you. But you need to understand what that means. The process takes time, months, maybe over a year. I'll face judgment from my community, disappointment from people I respect. My family will either support me or cut me off entirely. And there's no guarantee the church will grant me laicization. What happens if they don't? Then I leave anyway. I can't marry you in the Catholic Church, but we can have a civil ceremony. I lose my pension, my health insurance, my position. But Rachel, I've spent 9 years serving God, and somewhere in the last 9 months, I realized that loving you doesn't contradict that service. It fulfills it. She kissed me then. Our first real kiss, not the chaste friendly gestures we'd allowed ourselves. It was soft and tentative and tasted like salt from her tears. When we pulled apart, she was smiling through the crying. Yes, she said. Yes, I want you. All of you. Even if it takes years, even if it's complicated, even if people judge us, yes. Then I'll start the process tomorrow. That night, I called my bishop and requested a meeting. Told him I needed to discuss my vocation. He knew, of course, everyone at the parish had noticed my involvement with Rachel, the hours I spent at the hospital, the way I lit up when talking about her recovery. Father Lancaster, he said when we met in his office. I had a feeling this was coming. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm not disappointed. Conflicted, yes. Sad to lose a good priest, absolutely. But not disappointed. He leaned back in his chair. Love is a powerful force, David, even especially for those of us who vowed to channel it in other directions. So you'll support my petition for laicization? I will, but I want you to be certain. The woman you're doing this for, she nearly died. You've been through an intense emotional experience together. Are you sure this isn't just trauma bonding? It's not. I've examined it from every angle, prayed about it, fought it. Bishop, I love her. And I want to spend the rest of my life with her. He nodded slowly. Then you have my blessing. But David, the process will take time. Are you prepared for that? As long as I get to be with her at the end, I'll wait however long it takes. The laicization process was every bit as complicated as I'd feared. Forms, interviews, psychological evaluations. Meetings with church officials who questioned my vocation, my calling, my reasons for leaving. Every few weeks, another hurdle, another delay. During this time, Rachel and I maintained careful boundaries. I'd moved out of the rectory into a small apartment. We saw each other regularly but publicly, platonically. Dinner with friends, walks in the park, museum visits. Nothing that would scandalize the parish or complicate my petition. But it was torture. I want to hold your hand, she whispered to me one evening as we walked through the public garden. I know, me too. I want to kiss you goodnight. Soon. How soon? My canon lawyer says maybe 6 more months, she groaned. 6 months. David, we've already been waiting 8. I know, love. I know. She stopped walking, turned to face me. Is this worth it? The waiting, the hiding, the bureaucracy? I took her hands. We were allowed that much. Look at me. Rachel, you're worth waiting a lifetime for. We've both fought too hard to give up now. I fought cancer. This might be harder. I laughed despite myself. That's probably true. The scandal came anyway, despite our precautions. Someone, a parishioner, probably saw us having dinner and reported it to the diocese. Suddenly, there were questions about my relationship with Rachel during her treatment, about the money I'd spent, about whether I'd violated my vows before officially being released from them. Did you have a physical relationship with this woman while still in active ministry? The investigator asked. No, never. But you had feelings for her? Yes, which is why I'm seeking laicization. And you used personal funds to pay for her medical treatment? Yes. Funds from your family trust? Yes. That's a significant amount of money to spend on a parishioner. She wasn't a parishioner when we met. She was a dying woman with no one else to help her. Come now, Father Lancaster. You expect us to believe this was purely charitable? That you'd have done the same for anyone? No, I wouldn't have. I did it for her specifically because I cared about her specifically. Which, again, is why I'm leaving the priesthood. The investigation dragged on for weeks. Rachel was terrified they'd deny my petition, that I'd be stuck in limbo forever. What if they say no? She asked one night over the phone. We still couldn't see each other in person. The investigation had imposed restrictions. Then we get married anyway. Civil ceremony. I lose the church's approval, but I don't lose you. David, you'd give up everything, your pension, your standing, the respect of the church just to be with me. Rachel, I already did. The moment I asked you to let me save your life, I chose you. Everything since then has just been paperwork. I heard her crying softly on the other end. I love you, she whispered. I love you so much it scares me. Good, because I'm absolutely terrified too. 14 months after I started the process, the letter arrived. The Vatican had approved my petition. I was officially released from my vows. I was free to marry, to live as a layman, to build a life with Rachel. I called her immediately. She answered on the first ring. It's done, I said. Rachel, it's finally done. Oh my God. Really? Really, we're free. Can I see you? Now? I'm already on my way. I drove to her apartment. Our apartment soon, I thought. She met me at the door, and the moment I crossed the threshold, she was in my arms. We kissed like we'd been starving for it. Months of restraint, of careful distance, of waiting, it all poured out in that moment. Marry me, I said between kisses. What? Marry me. Right now, today. I don't want to wait another minute. She laughed, crying at the same time. David, we can't get married today. There are licenses and tomorrow then. This week. I don't care. Just say yes. Yes, obviously yes. We were married 2 weeks later in a small ceremony at City Hall. Rachel wore a simple white dress. I wore a suit that felt strange after years in clerical black. Her friends from before the cancer came, amazed to see her healthy and happy. My sister flew in from California, the only family member willing to support my choice. The bishop who'd supported my petition officiated a kindness I hadn't expected. Do you, David Lancaster, take Rachel Morgan to be your wife? I do. And do you, Rachel Morgan, take David Lancaster to be your husband? I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. I kissed her in front of everyone, our first kiss as a married couple, as two people finally free to love each other openly. At the small reception afterward, Rachel pulled me aside. You know what's funny? She said. What? A year and a half ago, I walked into your church ready to die. And now I'm married to you, cancer-free, happier than I've ever been. She touched my face. You didn't just save my life, David. You gave me a life worth living. You did the same for me. I was going through the motions, being a good priest, but not a fulfilled person. You woke me up. No regrets. I looked around at our tiny gathering of friends, my sister, a handful of people who'd supported us through everything. Not the society wedding my family would have wanted in my old life. Not the priestly life I'd built. Something new entirely. Not a single one. I work now as a hospice chaplain. Turns out my years in the priesthood, combined with the experience of walking Rachel through her illness, made me perfect for the job. I sit with the dying, hold their hands, listen to their fears. I help families navigate grief. I provide comfort without requiring faith. Rachel's still in remission. 5 years cancer-free, and every scan comes back clear. She started painting again, something she'd given up in her graphic design years. Her work is beautiful, bold, colorful, full of life. We have a small house in Brookline, a garden where she grows vegetables, a cat named Hope, because Rachel has a terrible sense of humor about these things. On Sunday mornings, we sleep in. Sometimes we go to church, a small Episcopal congregation that welcomes us without judgment. Sometimes we don't. God, I've learned, is bigger than Sunday services. Last week, Rachel came home from her oncology appointment with news. Dr. Chan says I'm cured, she said, tears streaming down her face. 5 years all clear. Officially cured. I picked her up and spun her around our kitchen. both of us laughing and crying. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it. You did it. You fought and won. We fought and won." That night, lying in bed, Rachel curled against my side. I thought about the choice I'd made. Leaving the priesthood had cost me things: my vocation, my pension, relationships with family members who couldn't understand. But it had given me everything that mattered: a wife I adored, a life of service that fulfilled me, the knowledge that my family's wealth had been used for something truly good. "David?" Rachel murmured sleepily. "Yeah?" "Thank you for saving me. Thank you for letting me." She fell asleep in my arms, her breathing steady and peaceful. No more labored breaths from damaged lungs. No more exhaustion from fighting for survival. Just sleep, just peace. Just a woman who'd been given 6 months and had taken forever instead. And I got to spend that forever loving her.